Forgotten Faces. Olivia Winters stared at her phone, reading the text from her mother for the 5th time. Hey, don't forget, board expects you with your fiancé at the foundation gala. Your father's promotion to chairman depends on our family image. She tossed the phone onto her plush office sofa and massaged her temples. There was no fiancé. There wasn't even a boyfriend. At 32, Olivia had prioritized her career at the family's investment firm over relationships, a choice her traditional parents had tolerated until now. The annual Winters Foundation Gala was in 3 days, and suddenly her relationship status had become critical to her father's career advancement. "Jasmine, I need options," Olivia said to her assistant, who was frantically typing at her desk. "Someone presentable, intelligent, with business acumen. For one night, you want to hire a fake fiancé?" Jasmine asked, eyebrows raised. That's very rom-com of you, Miss Winters." "Desperate," Olivia admitted. "Find an agency. Find someone qualified. I'll pay whatever it costs." 2 hours later, Jasmine returned with a single file. "There's only one person available on such short notice who meets your requirements. He runs a consultant agency that usually handles corporate espionage testing, but they do high-end event accompaniment as a side service." Olivia flipped through the sparse documentation. "Dominic Reed? Never heard of him?"
Right.
"He's the founder of Cyphertech Security. Very exclusive clientele. Harvard MBA, sold his first startup for 9 figures last year." Olivia nodded, impressed despite herself, set up a meeting. Today, that afternoon, Olivia waited in the private lounge of the Windsor Hotel. When the door opened, she found herself looking up at a tall man with arresting gray eyes and an understated but clearly bespoke suit. Something about him seemed vaguely familiar. "Miss Winters," he said, his voice deep and smooth. Dominic read. She extended her hand. "Thank you for meeting on such short notice, Mr. Reed."
Hey.
"Please call me Dominic." Smile didn't quite reach his eyes as he studied her. "Though I'm surprised you'd need to hire someone like me. Surely there are many men who would be honored to accompany you." "None that would convince my parents or our social circle of a serious engagement," she replied briskly. "I need someone who understands the business world, someone polished, someone to impress the Winters family," he said, with an odd inflection that made her pause. "Have we met before?" Olivia asked suddenly. Dominic's expression remained neutral. "Pembroke Academy, class of 2011. Though I'm not surprised you don't remember me." Olivia blinked, searching her memory. Pembroke was the elite preparatory school she had attended, where her family had donated the science building. "Sorry, I don't. I was on scholarship," he said, matter-of-factly. "I worked in the library, occasionally tutored calculus." A fuzzy image formed in her mind, a lanky boy with glasses, always in the background. But the confident man before her bore little resemblance to that shadow, she said, feeling strangely unsettled. "That's convenient. You'll understand the social dynamics then." Intimately, or something in his tone she couldn't quite decipher. "My fee is $50,000 for the evening plus expenses." Olivia didn't flinch at the amount. "Agreed. I'll need you to know certain details about me, about us. As a couple, our supposed history." Dominic leaned back, his gaze never leaving her face. "Actually, I already know quite a bit about you, Olivia. More than you might expect." She couldn't tell if that was a threat or a promise, but something in it. His steady gaze told her the next few days would be anything but simple. Masks and Memories, the Winters Foundation Gala, transformed the Metropolitan Museum's East Wing into a sparkling wonderland of crystal, champagne, and careful pretense. Olivia stood at the entrance, her emerald gown catching the light as she fidgeted. With her borrowed diamond bracelet, the one her mother insisted would hint at engagement. "Stop adjusting it," came Dominic's voice, low and close to her ear, as his hand settled on the small of her back. "You look perfect." Perfect was exactly how Dominic appeared in his tailored tuxedo. In the 3 days since their meeting, he had absorbed every detail about her life with unsettling efficiency. He knew her favorite wines, books she'd mentioned in interviews, and even recalled the name of her childhood horse. The thoroughness both impressed and unnerved her. "Remember?" she whispered as they approached her parents. "We met at the Technology Investment Conference in Tokyo last spring." Dominic's smile held a secret. I know our story, Liv. The nickname caught her off guard. No one called her that, except her closest friends. Before she could correct him, they were engulfed by her parents. Finally, Eleanor Winters kissed her daughter's cheeks before turning her full attention to Dominic. We were beginning to think Olivia had invented. You, Mrs. Winters. Dominic took her mother's hand with practiced charm. The pleasure is entirely mine. Your daughter speaks of you constantly. Richard Winters, silver-haired and imposing, assessed Dominic with the shrewd gaze that had made him a financial legend. Read Cyphertech, correct? Impressive security? Solutions? We considered your services for our Asian offices. I remember the proposal, Dominic replied without missing a beat. Your team went with Barrington instead. A solid choice, though their firewall architecture is somewhat outdated now. Richard's eyebrows lifted with grudging respect. Perhaps we should revisit that decision. As her father launched into business talk, Olivia marveled at how effortlessly Dominic navigated the conversation. This was not the awkward scholarship boy she still couldn't quite remember. Darling, Eleanor pulled Olivia aside as the men continued talking. He's absolutely perfect. Why have you been hiding him? We wanted privacy. Olivia recited their agreed-upon line. Well, he's certainly smitten. He can't take his eyes off you. Olivia glanced over to find Dominic, indeed watching her, his expression softening when their eyes met. The intensity in his gaze seemed too genuine for an act. Throughout dinner, Dominic charmed everyone at their table, including Olivia's godfather, who sat on the foundation board. When asked about their relationship, Dominic would defer to Olivia with such natural affection that even she almost believed they were engaged. May I have this dance? He asked as the orchestra began a waltz. On the dance floor, his hand firm at her waist, Olivia finally relaxed. You're very good at this. Everyone's convinced. Including you? His eyes held a challenge. I know what's real and what isn't, she replied carefully. Dominic guided her through a turn. Do you remember the winter formal, senior year at Pembroke? Vaguely I went with ... She struggled to recall. Preston Whitmore, Dominic supplied. Quarterback, you wore a blue dress. She looked at him, startled. How could you possibly remember that? I was there, working the coat check to earn extra money. His voice remained light, but something flickered in his eyes. You walked past me at least 3 times that night. Never once saw me. Prickled at her conscience. I'm sorry, I don't be, he interrupted smoothly. I was invisible to most people like you, the scholarship kid with the second-hand uniform. Before she could respond, he spun her elegantly, drawing admiring glances from nearby couples. You've certainly mastered making an entrance now, she observed, trying to lighten the moment. I had excellent motivation. His hand tightened slightly on hers. The library where I worked overlooked the quad where you and your friends would have lunch. You were always at the center, always laughing. Used to wonder what it felt like to be so certain of your place in the world. The revelation disoriented her. While she had no memory of him, he had been watching her, forming impressions, making judgments. Is that why you agreed to this arrangement? She asked. Some kind of revenge? Making the rich girl pay? Dominic's expression remained unreadable. I agreed because your assistant offered my usual fee without negotiation. Business is business. As the dance ended, he leaned close, his lips nearly brushing her ear, though I admit, when I saw your name I was curious, to see if Olivia Winters had changed at all, and have I, she found herself asking. His smile was enigmatic as he led her from the dance floor. The night is still young. As they rejoined her parents, Eleanor pulled Olivia into a quick embrace. He's wonderful, darling. The board members are impressed your father's chairmanship is practically guaranteed. Watching Dominic charm, the wife of the current chairman, Olivia felt strangely hollow. The evening was going perfectly. So why did each revelation about their shared past leave her feeling increasingly like the villain in someone else's story? Beneath the surface, what should have been a one-night arrangement extended when Eleanor Winters called her daughter the morning after the gala. The Hadley Pierce wedding is this weekend. And everyone's expecting to see your charming fiancé again, her mother announced. Richard and William Pierce were so impressed with Dominic's insights on cryptocurrency regulation, that Williams practically offering him a board position. Olivia pinched the bridge of her nose. Mother, I don't be difficult. Olivia, this is working wonderfully for everyone. Your father's chairmanship is practically confirmed. After ending the call, Olivia stared at Dominic's business card on her desk. Their contract had been fulfilled. She had no right to ask for more of his time, yet here she was, dialing his number. Reed, he answered crisply. It's Olivia. Need to extend our arrangement. There was a pause. For how long? Just this weekend? The Hadley Pierce wedding. Another pause. Double my previous fee. Fine. She agreed too quickly. I'll pick you up Saturday at 4. He hung up without saying goodbye. On Saturday, instead of sending a car service as she expected, Dominic arrived driving a vintage Aston Martin. This isn't very inconspicuous, Olivia noted as she slid into the passenger seat. If we're selling a romance, we should be convincing. His eyes lingered on her rose-colored dress. You look beautiful. At the wedding, held at the Pierce family estate, Dominic played his role flawlessly again. He remembered details about people he'd met at the gala, asked thoughtful follow-up questions, and kept his hand lightly on Olivia's back with such natural possessiveness that several guests commented on how well matched they seemed. During the reception, they found themselves alone at their table while others danced. Tell me something, Olivia said, watching him over her champagne glass. How did you go from the library at Pembroke to this? She gestured vaguely at his obvious success. Dominic studied his own glass. The abbreviated version, MIT Scholarship. Worked 3 jobs. Created an encryption algorithm my junior year that caught the attention of some venture capitalists. Built a security firm, sold it, started over with Cyphertech. In the unabbreviated version, his eyes met hers, assessing whether she genuinely wanted to know. I grew up in Westford. The wrong side. My mother cleaned houses in your neighborhood, said it without shame or apology. She took extra shifts to buy my Pembroke uniform. Died my sophomore year of college? Cancer. Olivia set down her glass. I'm sorry. Everyone was, he said simply. But sorry doesn't pay medical bills, is that why I work so hard? His smile held no humor. Partly, but mostly, I got tired of being invisible. The weight of her privileged ignorance settled uncomfortably on her shoulders. I really don't remember you from school, and I feel terrible about that. You were 17, caught up in your world. It was a footnote. He shrugged. Though you did speak to me once, I did. You needed a book. The Economist's View of Market Structure. For your advanced economics presentation. You were frantic because someone had checked it out already. The memory flickered dimly. He found it for me. I had it. I'd checked it out weeks before for the same assignment. His lips curved slightly. I let you take it, told the librarian. I'd returned it early. Why would you do that? Because you smiled at me. Actually looked at me and said thank you. He laughed softly at himself. Pathetic, right? But when you have nothing, small kindnesses seem monumental. Olivia felt a pang of something deeper than guilt. What did you do about your assignment? Got a B minus. Only B I ever received. He held her gaze. Worth it, though. The band shifted to a slower song. Dominic stood and offered his hand. One more dance to convince your future in-laws? On the dance floor, Olivia found herself studying. His face, trying to reconcile the successful man before her with the invisible boy she'd overlooked. Stop trying so hard to remember me, he said quietly. I wasn't memorable then. I think you must have been, she replied. I just wasn't paying attention to the right things. His arms tightened slightly around her. What are the right things, Olivia Winters? Character, determination, kindness. She met his gaze. The things that actually made you who you are today. Something shifted in his expression. Surprise, perhaps, or reassessment. You know, she continued, for someone who resented being invisible, you've perfected the art of not being seen, even when you're the center of attention. His eyebrows lifted, meaning you revealed just enough to seem transparent while keeping the important parts hidden. Her hand tightened on his shoulder. I'm starting to think I'm not the only one wearing a mask. The music ended, but neither moved to break apart immediately. Perhaps, Dominic finally said, we both have more to discover. Shattered pretense, the third event, wasn't Olivia's idea. After successfully navigating both the gala and the wedding, Richard Winters invited the happy couple to the family's Hampton estate for their annual summer weekend. I can't ask him again, Olivia told her father over the phone. This is getting ridiculous. Nonsense, Richard replied. The man's clearly in love with you. Besides, the board votes on the chairmanship next week. William Pierce and his entire family will be there. The charade had gone too far, but Olivia couldn't bring herself to confess. Instead, she called Dominic again, this time offering triple his original fee. A weekend is different from an evening, he said coolly. More complicated. I know it's a lot to ask. I'll do it, he interrupted, but not for the money. Then for what? Pause. Let's just say I'm curious how this story ends. The Winters. Hampton Estate sprawled along a private beach, its manicured lawns and infinity pool creating a picture-perfect setting for the weekend gathering. Dominic arrived Friday afternoon, his casual linen shirt and tailored shorts making him look like he belonged among the privileged weekend crowd. Eleanor greeted them effusively. We've put you in the blue guest suite, she told Dominic. Olivia caught her mother's meaningful glance. Separate rooms, but adjacent ones. How thoughtful, Dominic replied smoothly, following the housekeeper. Upstairs later, as guests mingled by the pool, William Pierce cornered Dominic. Olivia watched from across the terrace as the two men talked intensely, William gesturing enthusiastically while Dominic nodded. Your young man has impressed William, Richard said, appearing beside her. He's offering him a position on their cybersecurity initiative. Really? Olivia felt a strange mix of pride and unease. Smart match, Olivia. Brings the technical brilliance. You bring the connections. Together, you'll be unstoppable. The calculated assessment of their relationship left a bitter taste in her mouth. That evening after dinner, Olivia escaped to the beach. The June air was warm, the sound of waves soothing after hours of performative affection. Hiding? Dominic's voice came from behind her. She turned to find him walking barefoot across the sand. Just needed some air. Oh. He stood beside her, hands in his pockets, looking out at the dark water. Your father mentioned Pierce's offer. Are you considering? It would be smart business. His profile was sharp against the moonlight. Excellent connections. The implications stung. Is that all this is to you? Networking? Dominic turned to her, his expression serious. Isn't that what it is for you? Using me to secure your father's position? That's different. I'm paying you. I'm delivering what you paid for. The perfect pretend fiancé. His voice hardened. Though I'm starting to wonder if anyone here sees past what they want to see. Your parents see a strategic match. The board members see new blood with valuable expertise. What do you see, Olivia? The intensity of his question caught her off guard. I see... ... Someone who's much more than I initially thought. He stepped closer. And what does that mean to you? Before she could answer, Eleanor's voice called from the house. Olivia, Dominic, come in for drinks. The moment shattered. They returned to the house in silence. Late that night, unable to sleep, Olivia slipped downstairs for water. She froze when she heard voices in her father's study. Quite the coincidence, came William Pierce's voice. Slightly slurred from scotch, you ending up with Richard's daughter. Life is full of surprises, Dominic replied neutrally. Still from scholarship kid to dating the Winters princess? This must feel like vindication. Olivia's breath caught. William knew about Dominic's past. You remember me from Pembroke? Dominic asked. My son was in your class. Besides, I was on the scholarship committee. Your application was ... memorable. Brilliant kid from the wrong side of town. Ancient history, Dominic said dismissively. Is it? William's tone sharpened, because it seems convenient. That nobody who returns is somebody engaged to the girl. Who wouldn't have looked twice at him back then? Olivia didn't wait to hear Dominic's response. She pushed open the door. It's not what you think. Both men turned, startled. Olivia Dominic began, but she cut him off. There's no engagement, she said flatly. I hired Dominic to pretend for my father's sake, for the chairmanship. The silence was deafening. William's face hardened. See, how disappointing? It was my idea, she continued. Dominic was just doing what he does best, William interrupted coldly, leveraging advantages. First, a scholarship he didn't deserve. Now this. Dominic's expression turned to stone. Excuse me? Oh, please. We all knew your mother wrote that brilliant essay for your application. The cleaning woman with the Harvard-level vocabulary. The naked contempt in William's voice made Olivia flinch. My mother, Dominic said with dangerous quiet, worked 2 jobs and still read every night. She had more intelligence and integrity than anyone in this house. He looked at Olivia, his eyes cold. Our arrangement is concluded. He walked out without another word. Genuine reflections. 3 weeks passed. The foundation board voted against Richard's chairmanship. Eleanor barely spoke to Olivia.
The carefully constructed image of the perfect Winters family had cracked, revealing the hollow core beneath, thought Olivia.
Threw herself into work, avoiding the whispers and pointed looks from colleagues who had attended the various events with her fiancé. But each night alone in her apartment, she found herself thinking of Dominic. Not the polished businessman who had played his role so well, but the overlooked boy who had given up his book, who had watched her from the library windows. On a rainy Tuesday, she found herself standing outside the Cyphertech offices in Midtown Manhattan. The sleek glass building reflected her hesitation back at her. The receptionist looked up as she approached. May I help you? I'd like to see Dominic. Read, please. Do you have an appointment? No, but Ms. Winters. A woman in a sharp suit appeared. Jasmine mentioned you might stop by. I'm Victoria, Mr. Reed's executive assistant. Is he available? Victoria's expression revealed nothing. Mr. Reed is currently in Singapore. He'll be away for the next month. Olivia's heart sank. I see. However, Victoria continued, he left something for you, should you inquire. She retrieved an envelope from her desk. Inside was a check for the full amount Olivia had paid him, along with a brief note. Service incomplete. Contract void. When did he leave this? Olivia asked. The Monday after your Hampton weekend? Victoria's professional mask slipped slightly. He's been working remotely since then. Olivia nodded, understanding the unspoken message. He'd been avoiding New York, avoiding her that evening. She sat in her apartment surrounded by financial reports she couldn't focus on. On impulse, she opened her laptop and searched Dominic Reed's Cyphertech. Among the business profiles and tech articles was a feature in a philanthropic journal. The Marion Reed Foundation, named for his mother, provided scholarships to underprivileged students and funded cancer research. Further searching revealed more. His encryption algorithms were being used to protect refugee data in conflict zones. His company refused lucrative contracts with regimes known for human rights abuses. He personally mentored young coders from disadvantaged backgrounds. The Dominic Reed, she discovered, was not a man motivated by revenge or status. He had built something meaningful from his pain. Closing her laptop, Olivia made a decision. 2 days later, she stood in the humid Singapore evening outside the address Victoria had reluctantly provided. The modern hotel overlooked Marina Bay, its rooftop bar offering a panoramic view of the illuminated skyline. She spotted him immediately alone, at a corner table, focused on his tablet, a barely touched whiskey beside him. Your assistant is loyal, Olivia said, approaching his table, but not impervious to a heartfelt plea. Dominic looked up, his surprise quickly masked. You're a long way from New York. I needed to see you. He gestured to the empty chair across from him. Why? To apologize. For everything, not just what happened at the Hampton house, but for who I was at Pembroke, for not seeing you. His expression remained guarded. That was a lifetime ago, maybe for you. She met his gaze directly. I've spent the past few weeks realizing I'm still that same person in many ways, privileged, blind to what doesn't directly affect me. Self-awareness is a start. It's not enough. She placed an envelope on the table. This is your check. I won't accept it back. I didn't complete the weekend. You did more than enough. She took a deep breath. I also made a donation to your mother's foundation. Anonymous, it seemed. ... Right. Something in his expression softened. Thank you. I've been researching you. she admitted. The real you, not the performance you gave for my benefit. The work you're doing with young coders, the ethical standards your company maintains, the foundation, ... It's remarkable. Just business decisions, he said. But she could see her words had affected him. No, they're character decisions. Leaned forward. The boy who gave up his book and took a B- is still there. That's who built Cyphertech, not some desire to prove something to people like me. The silence between them stretched, filled with unspoken possibilities. Finally, Dominic set down his tablet. Why are you really here, Olivia? Because I want to know you, the real you, not the man I hired. She smiled slightly. And because I think maybe you wanted to be seen by me all those years ago? Really seen? And if that were true, then I'd ask if you're free for dinner tomorrow night. No pretending, no audience, just two people starting over. He studied her for a long moment. No, in all our performances, there was one thing I never had to fake. What's that? Being drawn to you? His smile was genuine, perhaps for the first time. Not the winter's princess, but the woman who smiled at me once in a library and made me feel visible. Olivia felt something shift between them, the masks finally falling away, leaving only truth in their place. I'm free tomorrow, he said at last. And the day after. Good, she replied. So I have a feeling this might be the beginning of a much longer story. Outside, Singapore's lights reflected in the bay waters, countless pinpoints of brightness emerging from darkness, much like the truth that had finally surfaced between them. It's no longer forgotten, no longer ignored.